Hey everybody, welcome to Go Bold. My name is Jody Atariwala and I'm your host. And today I'm coming to you from Canadian Forces Base Esquimalt in British Columbia, and specifically the refueling jetty at the base. Now, Season 3 of Go Bold has been focused on the boats and the ships that are operated by the Royal Canadian Navy and the men and women who serve aboard them. In addition, we are focused on a support ship that is a critical capability to the Royal Canadian Navy, and that is the Asterix Combat Support Ship, which was built by Davie Shipbuilding and is owned and operated by Federal Fleet Services. Now, the ship is an integral part of naval operations. The ship has circumnavigated the globe twice, and it is operated in all of the major oceans around the world, and all in service in support to the Royal Canadian Navy and allied navies. So I'm really excited for this opportunity to go aboard Asterix and to provide you with a tour and to show you all of the different capabilities of the ship. And we're going to be doing that with the master of the ship, which is just like a captain. And so we are very, very fortunate to have this opportunity because the ship is usually out at sea servicing the Navy and providing support to the Navy. So welcome everybody to this episode of Go Bold, and let me present to you the Combat Support Ship Asterix. Hey everybody, I am joined by Captain Andrew Powell, who is the senior officer aboard the Combat Support Ship Asterix, which is right behind us. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome, Jody. It was a pleasure having you here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. Andrew, I like to start these discussions by getting a sense of who you are and how you got into the marine industry and ultimately to be captain of the Asterix Combat Support Ship.
Yeah, so, I spent a lot of time on the water growing up. We had family friends that were involved in the fishing industry and on the east coast of Canada, and I think, just being on the east coast of Canada and being close to the water, it was a spot that I seemed to be comfortable at and with. And so out of high school, I went to the Nova Scotia Nautical Institute. I took a cadet program there, which led me to oil tankers for 14 years, VLCCs in the end. And then I went on to the offshore oil and gas industry, where I worked for a little more than 20 years, 15 of which were captain on offshore supply boats and anchor handlers. And for a little more than 2 years now, I've been on the Asterix.
Lovely, lovely. And so this is kind of like a pinnacle of one's career, being the captain of a ship.
It's I've got a lot of experience going to sea, and this is definitely a special job and a great opportunity for me to have this, yes.
That's wonderful. Tell me a little bit, Andrew, about working for Federal Fleet Services, which owns and operates the ship and leases it to the Royal Canadian Navy.
Right, so we are a support vessel for the Canadian Navy and an auxiliary oiler for them. So when we do go to sea, most often we're in consort with the Canadian Navy and our allies, and we supply those ships along the way with what they need for their daily operations, which could be fuel for their engines. It could be jet fuel for helicopters, fresh water, of course. A lot of, we always need fresh water on board our ship, so we can provide that as well. And we can send over solid cargo in the way of cargo that's on pallets, and it can be food stores or water again, palletized water, and it can be maybe ammunitions that we may send over.
Right, right. And so the capability is amazing, and right now we are at Canadian Forces Base Esquimalt, and the ship has just completed a circumnavigation of the globe to get here, which is amazing. It just speaks to me to the capability of the ship and the fact that you could really be deployed anywhere.
Well, we can, and the ship, we sailed out of Halifax towards the end of March, across the Atlantic through the Mediterranean, to the Suez Canal, Red Sea, into the Gulf of Aden, across the Indian Ocean, to eventually Korea, Japan, and then in June we landed here in Esquimalt, and we've been on a maintenance period, getting lots of work done, and in a few more days we'll take off for sea again, heading to Alaska and back over to the Far East.
So now tell me a little bit about how the Asterix as a combat support ship is operated, because if I understand it correctly, it's a mixed crew of Federal Fleet Services and the Royal Canadian Navy.
Right, so the Asterix is a civilian vessel, and we have 36 civilian crew. And then when we deploy, we have maybe on average of between 70 and 75 Royal Canadian Navy staff as well that are on board the ship. And so we receive a lot of direction from the Navy in our day-to-day operations and what they want the vessel to do, but it's up to the Federal Fleet staff to ensure that those orders are adhered to, and we follow through with the requirements of the Navy.
Yeah, one of the things that in researching this episode, one of the facts that I learned, which I was blown away with, is that the Asterix has not missed a single day of service that it is obligated to the Royal Canadian Navy.
No, we haven't. We've never missed a day of service, and I think that's a testament to the hard work of both the Navy on board and the Federal Fleet Services staff as well to keep the ship fully operational at all times.
Yeah, it's amazing, because these are very complex ships and they require maintenance. You know, that's what you mentioned. You're here in a maintenance period at the moment before departing, but it's remarkable to me that you guys have not missed any of your obligated time with the Navy.
It is, yeah. It really is. Takes a lot of hard work from all the staff in order to achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had the fortune to go aboard the ship and spend a few days at sea, and I was blown away at the amenities aboard. It's not like a cruise ship, but it is very comfortable, and I guess that is partly what people expect today.
It is, you know, everybody has their own cabin. They've got internet and TV and all the comforts of home with the gym that's on board, and the catering department, and the delivery of food and services on board is above par.
Yeah, it's absolutely lovely. So if you were, now, you know, Asterix is right behind us, so if you were to kind of take a moment and explain to the viewers the size and the capacity of the ship.
Right, so the ship is 182 meters long. We have a beam of just over 25.2 meters, and is the beam, which is the width of the vessel. And we have a loaded deep draft of 9.5 meters. Now, when I say the beam is 25 meters, that's on the ship's hull, but you can see up in the bridge wings overhang a little bit, and that's to give good visibility for RAS operations, which is replenishment at sea, and also for docking. It gives us a nice view of the dock as you're coming alongside.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, how about we start this tour, because you're gonna be our guide when we go aboard,
right?
Which we're very thankful for. But how about we start the tour from the outside, and that way you can describe some of the features of the ship that we will see closer once we're aboard.
Yeah, let's do that.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, Andrew, let's walk and talk, and you can point out some of the features of Asterix.
Okay, so here we are right up at the forward end of the ship, the bow, and this is where we store all the containers that are on board. We've got 36 containers. We can see we've got the 2 ship's cranes as we go along here a little bit further, but the cranes are used for all of our container and cargo operations, and they have access to both cargo holds. The cargo holds also have elevators associated with them, so we can take cargo out of the containers in situ where they are now, and we can move that cargo up to the main deck, and we can transfer it back to our RAS stations for replenishment at sea operations. But we'll keep going here. So as we move along, we come down, you can see the cranes a little bit better. It's
What's the capacity of the cranes?
the cranes are a 30-ton capacity.
Wow.
So we've used them for quite a bit for operations. We can lift small boats up onto our deck with them that we've done in the past. We can use the cranes, but the cranes are, very versatile. They're used day to day for operations for anything that we might load on the ship, from stores and provisions and spares and machinery items. The cranes are used almost on a daily operation or daily basis here while we're in port. At sea, not as much. With the vessel movement, you have to have a pretty steady platform for the cranes at sea.
Right.
But we'll just move ahead here a little bit more. And here now you can see the cranes a little better. So it depends on the distance that the crane is lifting its load. So you can see it's a 30-ton crane at a 15-meter distance and a 15-ton load lift that it can make at the 30-meter distance when it's fully extended.
Okay.
So the cranes are, right now they're situated where you see them over the aft container bay, where we've got a number of containers, and we've got our reefers and our refrigeration and freezer in the aft container bay as well.
Excellent.
So it's all used for stores and supplies, and everything that comes on and off the ship, as I mentioned, is all done with the crane as well.
Right, right.
So as we move back here, we can see our forward RAS station, which is used for solids and liquids. The liquids we can discharge would be F-76, which is a NATO grade of diesel fuel. We have F-44, which is jet fuel for the helicopters. We can discharge water through the hoses as well. We've got 3 different hose arrangements on these saddles. And we've got the solid cargo is done on the forward RAS stations as well.
One of the things that strikes me on this ship, though, is that you have 2 refueling or RAS stations on each side of the ship, which to me speaks to the capability of Asterix, because if by chance one happens to go down for whatever reason, you have some redundancy built in.
Total redundancy with these systems. So with RAS stations that are forward here, numbers 1 and 2, those stations are solids and liquids together. And there has been times where we're doing a RAS where both stations are connected, the forward and aft, so we can be discharging liquid through the aft station at the same time doing solids, palletized food, or whatever they may need on the forward station at the same time. So as you say, the versatility is there. We've got lots of options on how we refuel vessels and how we replenish them at sea.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So as we come aft here a little bit, now in between the 2 RAS stations we have the RAS control area, which we call RASCO. And in RASCO we've got 4 operator stations, and each one is in position to the RAS station itself. And so we'll go aboard, we'll look at RASCO as well, and you can see how everything is arranged and how the RAS operator runs that machinery.
Yeah, so it's situated right in between all of the refueling, I guess, posts or the stations, and clearly it's got beautiful 360-degree view. So for safety, but also you want to see what you're doing as you're refueling.
Exactly, there is great visibility there for the RAS operators and people that are working in RASCO during a refueling operation. So there is very good visibility there.
And when a replenishment at sea evolution is happening, Andrew, who is running the equipment? Like, who's actually doing all of this stuff?
So the equipment is owned and maintained by Federal Fleet Services staff, the civilian crew on the ship. Mm-hmm. But when we are conducting a RAS, it's Navy personnel that are actually running the machinery.
Right, so they're getting the experience that they need on board Asterix. Asterix is facilitating the requirements of replenishment at sea, and you guys are basically providing the platform, providing the equipment, and maintaining all of it.
That's correct. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Not only that, you know, by having Asterix and having the Navy aboard, where they don't have their own auxiliary oiler at this time, it also provides them a platform to maintain that skill set, that they don't lose training or skills that you need to, you know, be working on a continual basis.
Right. Yeah, no, it's a wonderful capability.
So it's there is a lot of work going on board. It might be a little noisy down here right now, I'm not sure, but we'll go up on deck and we'll be able to check some of that out, and you'll see what kind of work we're doing. And it has been a busy maintenance period for the ship, so I know that the crew are looking forward to get back to sea and fall into that seagoing routine that we get into.
Absolutely. And right now we're passing some of the, I guess, some of the pumps and the piping that will refuel ships on the jetty. How much fuel can you take on, and how much fuel can you deliver to ships?
So we can, well, right now with the F-76 grade, we've got about 9,100 cubic meters on board. And F-44, we've got approximately 1,200 cubic meters on board. So when we fuel the ship, depending on the size of the ships we're refueling, sometimes we might only RAS a couple hundred cubes. There's other times we might RAS 700 or 800 cubes, depending on the size of the ship and the requirements, of course.
Right. And so when you say cubes, that's cubic meters.
That's cubic meters. So
right.
1,000 liters per cubic meter.
Per cube, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so in terms of the endurance and the speed of Asterix, how would you describe that as a captain?
So we've got a maximum speed is around 21 knots. We don't often run that fast. It's once you get up to full speed, fuel consumption is you know, it just increases
Sure.
sort of exponentially
Right.
when you're running that fast. But comfortably, we'll run along at 18 knots, no problem, day in, day out.
Yeah, fantastic. And so you can obviously use the fuel that you have aboard to deliver to other ships. And so really, I guess your endurance has got to be pretty amazing. But how often do you know, if you're operating at a constant pace, how long until you need to refuel?
So really, you know, it's the Navy likes to fuel the ship and keep it topped up as much as possible. So in most of our ports of call, we'll load cargo back up to the 95% range, so that we're always topped up and ready to go.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You always want to be ready for any eventuality, because one of the aspects that we will see, I'm sure, when we go aboard, is the capacity of Asterix. And part of that, and correct me where I'm wrong, Andrew, but is the ability to respond to humanitarian aid and disaster relief efforts.
That is correct, yes.
So if you're called
that
upon,
is part of the design process of the ship, and part of the requirements that we've been hired for is in order to provide humanitarian relief assistance. And with that, you know, I talk about all the containers that are on board and all the storage that's on board. We have the ability that if we are deployed to a region where humanitarian relief measures are needed, then we've got the equipment on board to assist with that.
Right, and not only do you have the equipment aboard, but I know, because we've spoken about our tour that we're about to have, but you also have a hospital aboard.
We do.
You have a dental
Yes.
facilities, you have x-ray facilities. You have the ability to produce a lot of food for people.
Yes.
You know, if you get into a situation where you need to feed a lot of mouths.
Yes. So we'll have a look at the galley, and we'll go through and we'll look at the hospital and see that you can see we have a surgery ward, and we have another ward with 6 beds in it that we can put, you know, personnel that require medical care. We have in our galley, we'll go look at the galley. It's just the kit of equipment in the galley and the ability to produce meals for people that may be on board for a humanitarian relief mission. We'll look at that, and I think that the numbers are quite easily up around 400 to 500 meals, you know, per setting that we can achieve. So it's yeah. When we talk about versatility and abilities of the Asterix, it's you know, there's no limit to what we can do.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And part of that capability resides in not just the capacity of what you can carry and what you can deliver, but also being able to get people on and off the ship. Right behind us, we're looking at some of the rigid hull inflatable boats, and there's
Yes.
another one to the viewers right here. But beyond that, if we go further back, there's a very significant, I guess, capability, which
Well,
sure
there
that-
is. We'll look here and we can see the netting around the heli deck, and that heli deck can be used as well. That if we want to chopper in people, that we have that option. And as you said, we've got the Navy's rib, and we've got our own fast rescue boat, and those could be used to utilize, or can be utilized to bring you know, persons aboard in an evacuation mission.
Right, and clearly, as a ship that sails the waters, you are always available. I guess it's part of the laws of the seas to be available for search and rescue as well.
That's it. And to respond to an emergency, it is the law of the sea that we are obligated, and more so than even an obligation, it's what we want to do as a seafarer, is to help out a fellow seafarer that could be in distress upon the water. That's we're there for that.
Right, absolutely. Well, it's a beautiful ship, and I guess the last point, I'll just kind of pan up here, and you were mentioning how the bridge overhangs the superstructure of the ship, and that's for visibility as you come alongside, right?
That is for visibility coming alongside, and also for the RAS. We want to be able to get a good view over the side to see the, it helps to see all the gear that goes across for the RAS when they start with, you know, shooting a messenger line to a bigger messenger, to finally what we call the span wire goes across and gets tensioned down on the receiving ship to where the gear goes across and is deployed. It is all for good visibility for the operation at hand.
Wonderful. And I guess the final aspect here is, as I just pan up, this whole superstructure, that's where I guess your offices are and where people live.
It is. It's where all the accommodations are, offices, the galley and the mess room, the gymnasium is all in the superstructure.
Beautiful. Well, Captain, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us the length of the Combat Support Ship Asterix, and I'm looking forward to going aboard and seeing it up close.
Yeah, very good. Let's go.
Thank you.
All right.
So we are now on board the Combat Support Ship Asterix, and Andrew, thank you so much for having us aboard, and describe to us exactly where we are and what we're going to see here.
So, Jody, we did walk along the dock and we saw the ship on its port side. Now we're at the bow of the ship at the forward end, and we're standing on the forecastle head, as we call it. And this is where the mooring operations take place, or if we're going to anchor the ship, it's all done on the forward section of the ship on the forecastle head. So you can see we've got our mooring winches and our mooring lines here. And again, this is a work area of the ship, so when the crew are coming and going from port, they stand by on the bow of the ship. Some of the things they're looking for is maybe small boats that could be, you know, in the way of our passage coming in and out of port. We also have our anchors are always cleared and ready for letting go in case of any sort of emergency. That if we have any issues with the propulsion plant, the main engine, that for some reason we have to stop the ship while we're transiting in and out of the harbor, where a lot of times it's a narrow passage, confined, restricted waters. our anchors are ready to let go at all times.
Right on, right on. Well, let's start our tour, Andrew. I'll follow you, and you can point out things as we go.
Sure, let's go. So as we were down on the dock, we looked at the forward container bay, and this is the forward container bay with the 3 hatches on top. The crane has access to this container bay and can, access all the containers that are stored in these cells. So makes, again, very versatile.
How many can you carry aboard?
36 containers in total.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, awesome.
So, not a lot compared to a container vessel, of course, but for our purposes and the amount of cargo we can put in these 36 containers, it's huge for us.
Right, right. And that's part and parcel of the dry goods and the refrigerated goods, and also the emergency disaster relief equipment.
Right, for what we might use for humanitarian relief missions, and they have chainsaws and generators and crowbars and water bags that if we want to take water ashore, just everything that you think you might need for humanitarian relief assistance we would have on board.
Beautiful. It truly is a combat support ship.
It very much so. So here we go. We'll go down the stairs. We'll make our way into the container bays, and we'll run down through the 'tween deck. While we're in the 'tween deck, we'll look at the hospital and the dental areas. We'll look at some of our storage areas and some of the equipment along the way.
Perfect.
Okay.
Lead the way.
Watch your step. All right, so this is our, aft container bay here. What we're seeing, just the forward end of the aft container bay. We'll take a walk down through the steps, but this is one of our cargo elevators here right behind me. So we've got 2 cargo elevators. There's one forward and one aft, as per the container bays themselves. So we can access the containers from any deck and get the cargo onto the container, get the cargo onto the cargo elevator and get it out onto the main deck for transfer to a ship during the RAS operations.
Right, and I guess that also means that you can get it to the deck, and I believe that's the 'tween deck.
That's the 'tween deck, and
which can also get you all the way back to...
all the way aft on the ship. So we'll go down, and that's where we're headed now, and we'll get to take a look there.
Fantastic.
right.
I'll follow you. And here you've got obviously the equipment that you're able to move all the
Yes,
things around with.
there's a number of forklifts on board and pallet jacks, very important for getting the cargo around.
Right on.
Okay, we're going to go down a flight of stairs here, so just watch your steps. So these are the reefers that we have aboard. There's 5 reefers, and below the reefers are the other containers in the aft container bay. So the reefers, the temperature can be adjusted that we can use them as a freezer or as a refrigerator.
Fantastic.
Going to get a little noiser. That's the compressors on the reefers that are running now. Okay, and here we are now. We've come down to the 'tween deck, where you can see we've got, as I mentioned, in a maintenance period, so we've got a lot of, garbage that still needs to go ashore, be sorted, and a lot of our equipment that we will load for operations will come through the 'tween deck as well.
Right. So there, like clearly, what I'm seeing here, Captain, is a lot of space that enables you to carry out your mission and the flexibility to be able to carry things.
You know, if we come over here and have a look down, you can see how big our tween deck is, and what we can do here. It's again having the option of having the tween deck for storage. If you look above you, we have another cargo hatch cover here that can be removed. So if there's anything that's too big for the cargo elevator, we can lower it right down through the hatch, move it around on the tween deck to wherever it needs to go on board the ship.
Beautiful. And this, so the tween deck, I'm assuming that means it is in between.
That is it.
Right.
We're in between the main deck, and below us is what we call the pipe tunnel, which is where all the piping for all the RAS stations, cargo loading, discharging is all located.
Right on.
Yeah. You can see the stores. You know, there's a lot of stores required before we deploy for sea on Friday. So the crew has been busy loading stores, which would be, you know, what we call, you know, soap, dope, and rope, just for the general maintenance of the ship. Provisions for the galley. We've been busy loading provisions and stores that will be used to feed the 105 that are going to be on here for the next 3 months, basically.
Right.
So it is a lot of stores required to get the ship out of port and underway.
Right. And I see some very significant doors here. Tell me about the purpose of these doors.
So these are watertight doors. You'll see we've passed a few of them already, but these doors are always kept closed at sea. So in the event of any type of an emergency where there may be, if there's any flooding in a space, or any space has been compromised and there's a risk of flooding, then these doors are closed and left closed, and it will contain the flooding to one section of the ship.
Wonderful. Yeah, very important. And here we're passing a bunch of water and pallets, but you don't really need these water bottles.
We don't drink a lot of bottled water. This is used mostly for humanitarian relief, that if there is a humanitarian relief mission, then we've got bottled water for the evacuees that we have on board.
Right, and so that speaks to the capability aboard Asterix. In terms of water, I assume you're producing your own water.
We produce our own water using RO, which is reverse osmosis. So we've got 2 RO units capable of making, I'm pretty sure, in excess of 40 cubic meters of water a day. So we're talking 40,000 liters of water a day that we can produce on board. Of course, when we're full crew, we're going through about 20 cubes a day, and so we can keep up with consumption, and we can also make more than that. One of the things we want to do is ensure that the water is always fresh on board. So quite often we're flushing water. We might pump a tank out till it's partially empty, and then we'll fill it up again with fresh, so that the water is always being renewed and always fresh on board.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wonderful capability, because in worst case scenario, you can use that residual water and feed people that might need it.
Yes, absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. Right. So, you know, you mentioned that is part of our green initiative on board, is having the ability to make water, consume our own water. We drink that water on board. It's treated, it goes through filters. Everything comes out of a water fountain that has a filter on it. So it really reduces the amount of plastic water bottles that we do have to deal with on board. This is our new transformer, and it provides power to the ship from the ship's generators, and it also reduces the amount of generators that we need to use on board at the time.
Right, so this is the new transformer. And so that's an effort from Federal Fleet to be more energy conscious.
Yes, and this is part and parcel to our green initiative on board, and Green Marine and trying to reduce our carbon footprint.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it's nice to see that these initiatives are being taken, and that it's not just taken for granted that the ship, once it came out of the shipyard, is the way it's going to be for the rest of its life.
And it's all about continuous improvement too. It's not just status quo here today. It's what we can do tomorrow and the next day to always make things better.
Right. Wonderful.
So let's go up to RASCO.
Sure.
Take a look to see where all the RAS observations.
Absolutely.
Sorry, we're going to go up to RASCO, and it's not RAS observations. It's where the RAS operations.
RAS operations.
We're going up for the RAS operations. So just watch your step again.
There's certainly no shortage of stairs on these ships.
So this is what we call RASCO. This is our RAS operations room. And as mentioned, we have 4 RAS stations. Each one of these chair pilot stations is where the RAS operator would sit to run the machinery. So station 1, 3, 2, and 4. So as the ship comes in alongside and we fire a gun line, we have the big rope messenger that will go over first, and then you might see at the end of the hose is the wire and the hook that connects onto the ship that we're fueling.
So this is the station where people will reel out, either extend out or retract the hoses that will plug into a receiving ship like a Halifax-class frigate or a U.S. Navy warship.
Yes. So everything as well is built to a NATO standard. So all our Navy ships are built to NATO standards. So when they come alongside, there's no confusion in fittings and what size hose do you have. It's a standard that all navies use. So our probe will fit their receiver as it will with all NATO vessels.
Right.
So everything is built and maintained to a NATO standard.
So this station here and these stations in this replenishment-at-sea area, RASCO, this will be manned by Royal Canadian Navy sailors?
So during a RAS, we'll have the FFS crew, which would be the chief mate, the bosun, and 2 or 3 deckhands. And then we have the RAS operator, which is RCN. We have a RAS supervisor, and then we've got a number of RCN staff out here as well. They have their medical team here standing by in case of an emergency. They have, there's the buffer, which is I guess the chief bosun, and there's a few other staff around as well, and some of the senior master sailors would be in here. Right. Some of the other deckhands or bosuns in the Navy are all on deck, and they're all running the rigging on the RAS equipment to deploy it at sea.
You know, I find that this, I'm just going to pivot around here. Yeah. I find that this whole, the ship, which is built by Davie Shipbuilding, you know, they took into account a lot of the, I guess, lessons learned and some of the things that help facilitate the mission of a combat support ship like Asterix. And so this area being nicely enclosed, you know, out of the elements, but still a ton of visibility all the way around, just speaks to some thinking that they really put into developing the ship and designing it.
I think definitely they consulted some of the Canadian Navy staff that were deployed on the old supply vessels, and they were able to take that knowledge and implement it here on Asterix.
Right. You've mentioned like supplying other ships through, you know, through these hoses, but there's also another way to supply ships, and that's through vertical replenishment using helicopters. If you have any aboard and had that capability.
Yes, that's right, and that is an option. We haven't done any helicopter replenishments while I've been on the Asterix, and just over 2 years, but and I'm not sure that they have, but that option is always available.
Yeah, it's nice to have the option,
especially in a humanitarian relief mission. Then that is something that would become a more viable option, I think, at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's continue on, and we'll follow you.
So this is the cargo control console that the chief mate runs. So when we do the res, it's the chief mate does all the pumping, and he does it right from here. We've got the bosun is on deck, working closely with the chief mate. There's a couple of deckhands down below in the pump room, and then our pipeline areas that we're always monitoring for leaks. So we've got one person in the pump room, one person in our pipe tunnel, and they're just watching the lines, looking for leaks.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah.
Better to be safe, right?
No, that's right. So let's we'll go back down the stairs.
Sure.
We'll go through the tween deck. It is a little noisy. I'd like to show you the hospital and the surgery areas and the dental suite and what we have there for medical and dental support to our navies and again our allied navies. We've had more than one sailor come aboard for a stitch, and they've done more than one cavity or root canal on board too. So
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Thank you.
Watch your step here. Okay. Steps are a little steeper on a frigate.
They are indeed.
Yeah.
These are very narrow.
So this is a res machinery space. So this is where all the res equipment, we see all the wires are up on deck, everything comes down to here. We've got our compressed air cylinders that actually pump up the ram here. So this is the span wire that we were talking about, and this ram goes up and down that allows slack to be paid out or retrieved as vessels move apart and close closer together.
Right. So this is duplicated 4 times.
4 times,
Right,
yes.
right on
the 2 forward res machinery spaces have a little bit extra gear because we can do the solids there as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Gotcha.
So this is an area that we use for humanitarian relief equipment and gear, where it can be stored as well. So if we get the call that we're going on a humanitarian relief mission, this space can be utilized for any of the equipment we would use for that.
So here you would put emergency supplies, generators,
emergency
everything.
supplies,
Tanks,
generators.
right.
You see we maintain a little bit of water here and some equipment. I think that's basically ship stores right now.
Sure.
But that's what this space is intended for.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
so lots of room.
lots of room.
One
yeah.
thing we do have on the ship is there's tremendous amount of storage, and with that storage, it just opens up options for us on what we can do.
Yeah. Right.
So now we're into the ship's hospital, and we'll look at some of the medical suites and equipment that we have available. These are offices for the medical staff on board.
Okay.
They've got this locked. So here we go. We've got beds for 6 patients in here. So we can, once maybe a sailor has been treated, this is where they'd come for post-treatment and care.
What a beautiful space, like fully outfitted. You've got oxygen, you've got all of the monitoring equipment that you need. This, like, if you do a humanitarian assistance or disaster relief operation, oftentimes people will need medical care.
Yes.
And you're able to, you have a large flight deck, so you're able to bring them onto the ship, or whether you bring them on by boat. But then once they're here, now you have facilities to care for them.
Yeah, it's great. It really is great. And and I keep saying it, it's the Asterix is an amazing ship. Our capabilities are endless.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And I like this title, The Ouch Pouch.
There you go. So when we do the RAS, we always have one of the members of the medical team is in RASCO, and they have their ouch pouch with them, and they are completely kitted out and ready to go to respond to a medical emergency.
Wonderful. What a beautiful space.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is just the medical space.
This is just the medical space. We've got a room where they can where they'll take a patient for stitches, or if they have to do some minor surgeries, and we can check that out. And we'll check out the dental offices and room as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. After you.
Thank you.
Okay. X-ray room as well.
X-ray.
So I won't go in here too far because they've probably got some of this sterilized and ready to go.
Sure.
But again, this is where they can treat people before they end up in the hospital ward, and they can do minor surgeries and stitches and whatever needs to be done in here.
It just really speaks to why a combat support ship like the Asterix is so incredibly important to a Navy. In this case, in service to the Royal Canadian Navy, but also to allies.
You're absolutely right. And we do a lot of training on board with the Navy. We run through a lot of different scenarios too. And some of those are, picking up people that are in trouble at sea and called for a mayday, and fishing boats on fire, and how will we respond, and how will we get those people off the boat, and how will we get them here, and what kind of care they might need when they get here.
Right.
So it's just not, it's not just naval support, it's supporting, everybody that's on the sea today.
Right. Wonderful way to put it. Yeah, it's such an amazing capability.
So let's have a look here in our X-ray department. So
Wow,
this
fully
is
outfitted.
X-ray machines. This is our new X-ray machine, and it's about to get installed and mounted and secured for sea in the next couple of days.
Beautiful.
But that just came aboard.
And obviously the control room for the X-rays, all done safely and with care for the technicians, and fantastic.
We carry an X-ray technician, an ultrasound technician.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy smokes! You've got everything.
Okay, we'll check out the dental office here. It's funny, when we're at sea, you can see the chairs down there. We'll have sailors lined up, and they'll be waiting for doctor's appointment and dentist appointments, and they come down and they get everything treated. And again, it's just like you'd expect to see at home when you go into your own dentist.
If you didn't know that you're on a ship
right now,
you'd have no clue.
Yeah.
No clue. But yeah, it's. I guess the thing that's really striking me about this tour is that so much care and attention was put into what is required here. We're looking at what you are doing to supply ships. Now you're looking at what to do to care for the crew aboard or people that will come aboard that might need medical assistance or dental assistance. You have the x-ray facilities. And then on top of all of that, you know, you've got all these other capabilities to do helicopter operations. Like, this is such a high value asset. It's amazing.
It is. It is. It really is. And I think Canada is lucky to have this ship right now while we wait for the new ships to be built.
I agree. I agree. And quite candidly, I think this ship should continue its service to Canada. There's more requirement, there's more need than there are ships. So the more ships that are able to do this, the better.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
fantastic.
just another exit up to the main deck.
Safety.
Yeah. And do you want to take a picture of that for your next eye test so you can study it?
Yeah, I can. Fantastic. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, where are we heading to next?
So let's go back into the tween deck.
Okay.
And we'll work our way up. We'll go into the galley and the mess room. We can see where everybody eats and
Wonderful.
And the cooks and the food that they provide us every day.
Ah, beautiful. So this is something that's also kind of interesting, Andrew. Most Navy ships don't have elevators, but obviously this is a naval support ship. But you need some cargo elevators. But here are also some elevators for the crew.
So you're right. This is a cargo elevator. We can look up the tween deck from where we've come. So any stores that are in the tween deck or provisions that are in the reefer and the freezer can be brought back here via forklift. And you did ask about, you know, helicopter doing a replenishment or cargo ops with a helicopter.
Right.
And this takes you right up to the heli deck and the hangars, and we can move pallets in and put them on cargo nets, and then the chopper can take it away from there.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Are you lost yet? You know where we are?
Are you lost? No? I'm
It's
lost.
pretty straightforward.
Pretty straight.
It took me a little while to get used to the Asterix, you know. For a long time, I'd be walking down and I'd take a right and I'd get some, we should have gone left. Okay, right here.
Off to,
Yeah.
I'll let you.
So here's our mess room here, where all the crew and CAF eat. It's a busy spot at meal hour. You know, they put out 110 meals each meal hour, up to 110 meals. And in the event of you know, humanitarian relief, then they've got some big soup kettles in the galley, and I think they can go maybe as high as 600 meals an hour with the soup kettle to provide, you know, just a broth with some rice and protein, and just something to sustain persons when they're on board.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, what I love about this is coming in here, first thing you do is wash hands, often, you know, and it's just all about hygiene. So you start in with kind of cleaning your hands as you should, and then you come in and serve yourself, I guess.
So you can see we've got our menu is up for the night. It's Wednesday night, steak night, and the food on the Asterix is, I think, the best I've ever had at sea. And I've been on some ships with some pretty good food and some pretty good cooks, but these guys are consistent. The meals are always different. It doesn't seem like there's a repeat. You don't come in and say, "Wow, chicken again."
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's yeah. So there's the.
And unlike a typical Navy ship, and I don't know if things are changing as navies evolve, but the entirety of the Asterix crew eats here.
We do. That's right. And I have sailed on ships before with segregated dining rooms where the officers sit on one side, ratings on the other. I've been on ships before where different meals are provided for officers than what are for the ratings.
Oh, really? Different meals?
So sometimes that's by preference too.
Sure.
But yeah, just we all come in, we all eat together, one big happy family here.
Nice, nice. And that is Federal Fleet Crew and Royal Canadian Navy.
And the Royal Canadian Navy, we all eat together.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's continue on. And
Okay. Some of the ships that I have sailed on in the past too, the galley gets closed in the nighttime.
Right.
This is open 24/7. They've got the sandwiches are always here. We passed the dessert fridge behind us.
Right.
But the crew can always come into the dessert fridge, and there's a nighttime meal served as well. There's not a whole lot of the crew come in for the nighttime meal. I think it's around 11 o'clock at night they serve a night meal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's great. So there's certainly flexibility depending on how people are working and what their
That's
work
right.
schedule is.
The bridge is manned 24 hours a day, so is the engine room at sea, so there's people on night watch working. They like that night lunch.
Right, right. Beautiful.
So after meal hour, everybody brings their own tray up to the scullery, and you can see, part of our green initiatives is to segregate our garbage. And so you can see we've got food waste, paper waste, plastic waste, and metal, so that is all segregated. So when it comes time for disposal, it's in its appropriate bags or so
just divided out and ready to
for garbage. And food waste can go over the side as long as it's ground and commuted to less than I think maybe 2 centimeter chunks. So it can go through the garburator and then over the side. Paper waste, plastic, metal, everything is left on board. Metal doesn't get burned in our incinerator. It's just the paper and plastic general garbage gets there, cardboard.
Right, and all of this is done to environmental standards, so that way you're reducing waste, you're reducing garbage, you're reducing your environmental impact, and reducing carbon output.
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
Fantastic.
A greener ship.
Yes.
That's ultimately what we're after.
And clearly, you're implementing all of the things on board this ship. I had somebody had told me about the fact that you have paint that is anti-fouling paint on the bottom of this of Asterix, and that's meant to make it more slippery and not have.
That's right.
Marine life.
It prevents marine growth on the ship's hull, which of course makes us a smoother hull, more efficient in the water, less fuel.
Yeah,
It
right.
takes less fuel to go a mile than it does when a ship has got a big beard on it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Wonderful initiative.
So let's we'll go down here and we'll check out the gym where we try to go, where most people go other than me after meal hour.
And I think that the gym is something that is really highly regarded on board this ship because it is a beautiful gym.
It is, yeah. Marcella, can we come in?
Oh, yes.
Yeah? Okay, watch the deck. It might be a little slippery.
Just along here. It's all
Okay?
Thank you. This is an amazing, beautiful.
So you'll
big
find
gym.
the crew spend a lot of time in here. They come when the Navy are on board. They break up into teams throughout the day, and they'll come in and exercise. Ship's crew are pretty good at getting in here after supper time. You'll find them in here.
Yeah, you've got everything that you might need, weights and cardio equipment.
You know, from the exercise mats and if you like, I can hold the camera and you can try the boxing machine.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that, Andrew.
Yeah, well, we'll just keep on walking right on by it then.
For sure. But this is a beautiful gym.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And it's good. It keeps the sailors and the Federal Fleet employees fit, but also in addition to that, it's good for morale. It keeps people
Good for morale.
active and
Exercise is great for mental health as well. So
Right,
you know, we
right.
get crew back here all the time, and they're always working out and exercising.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's-
The Navy will quite often supply what they call a PSP instructor, which is a physical fitness instructor, and they'll come up with routines for the crew a number of times, so people that are off watch can come down and hook up with the PSP instructor, and he'll put them through a routine, and you know, they really enjoy it. It goes a long ways on board.
Nice, fantastic.
This is our chef manager, Brad.
Hey, Brad,
And,
how you doing?
Brad's responsible for all the great meals that we get, and he takes care of all the ordering of provisions and the ship's budget with regards to the food. Yeah, he's a busy guy. He's got a very important job on board. You know,
Brad?
morale starts in the galley,
It
and
does.
he's doing a good job keeping the ship happy.
I tell you what, Brad, thank you very much for the food because it's been excellent aboard. Thank you. It's been lovely. Thank you very much.
See you, Brad.
Thanks.
Hi, Brian. No, excuse me.
Hi there.
I don't know, do you want to go into the galley here, have a quick look around?
All right. Hey, everybody. We are in the galley of the Asterix Combat Support Ship. Brad, thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, welcome to the galley.
Thank you. So, yeah, what a beautiful facility. Tell me a little bit about basically preparing all the meals for the crew and the capability that this galley has.
So since I've been on board, we've done up to about 140 people. So that's 3 meals a day. Then we do about 30 people at night for midnight meal. Most of our facilities are all cooked and right in here. We got a grill, flat top, and hot, and we got ovens in the back corner. Basically, we cook and prepare all the meals so it's fresh every day. Every meal is cooked to order, not to order, but it's all buffet. So then the crew can choose what they choose to eat and not eat.
Sure.
We have 2 proteins, so a meat and a fish, or 2 different types of meats. Vegetarian option, starches and vegetables.
Wow.
And also a full salad bar, dessert bar, and drinks and pop and coffee and everything else.
That's awesome. So you're preparing so it could be up to 150 people on this ship.
Yeah, 150. We have 150 beds on the ship. Yes.
Right. And so obviously every day you're not preparing that amount of food,
No.
but there is the capacity to scale up, and part of the function of the Asterix Combat Support Ship is the ability to scale up in times of humanitarian
Yes.
aid, disaster relief.
Yes.
Right.
So we have equipment on board as well to do the humanitarian. So we have a steam kettle here, which can cook 100 liters of soup or stock or anything we need to cook in for rice. We can do up to 250 portions of rice in there at any one time.
Wow. So that's the kettle we're looking at right
Yes,
now.
yes.
Yeah.
And then also we have all the ovens and the supplies to do. We always have on board, always ready for humanitarian work. So right now we have about half a ton of rice on board, just in case if we ever need to do humanitarian work.
Right on. Wow. Well, let's take a quick little tour of the
Definitely.
galley, if you don't mind. Yeah,
Yes,
just point
definitely.
out some of the things
Yep.
that you've got
So
here.
this is our main hot kitchen. So this is where we do all the cooking. 90% of all the cooking that's being done is in this area here.
Okay.
So we have our griddle here. We have a flat top. This thing here is a stove where we do all our boiling and sautéing. And we also have a fryer down the end. If you want to follow me down this way.
Sure. And the food is looking wonderful.
And these are all our ovens down here. So we have a CombiTherm oven here, which is a oven steamer combination. We have a baker's oven over here.
Okay.
Then we have a hot box and then a defrost fridge.
Wow.
Then back on this section over here is all our baking section. So we have all the equipment to bake for everything. So we got a big, huge mixer. This weird looking machine here is a dough separator. Then we have another dough machine here. Then it's just this is where all the baker does all of his or her work during the day or at nights. So we have 2 shifts on during a 24-hour period. The night shift is the baker and the breakfast and prep cook. And then during the day, the 2 cooks just take care of all the meals, all the hot meals for the day.
So how many people are cooking in here at any given time?
Any given time is usually 2 plus myself.
Okay, wow, wow. So fairly lean, but you guys are producing
Oh, yes, yes,
some
yeah.
amazing food.
Yeah.
I've had the privilege to eat a few times on board the ship, and the food has been excellent.
Excellent. Really glad you're enjoying it.
No, it's been wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great facility to work in. You know, it's all stainless steel, so it's easy to keep clean. It's state of the art for the equipment that we have on board right now.
Beautiful. And is this the extent of the galley?
No,
or-
we'll keep it.
Oh,
It's still a big galley.
Wow.
So then back here, this is our prep area. So this is just another prep area. So this is where one of the cooks will spend most of his or her day.
Okay.
And then they'll be back here prepping. We have all fridges underneath, and we got more fridges. Then we have a bread machine here that slices all our bread.
Wow. So you're making all of your own bread. It's not like you're bringing on loaves of bread.
Since we have such limited capacity, we bring on a little bit just to help out the cooks.
Okay.
But I'd say about 50 to 60% is all made in house, and then we're capable to make more if we need to make more.
Wow. Awesome. Awesome. And is there anything in particular that you specifically enjoy cooking, or like are there some crew favorites?
Depends on what crew's on. So we have a lot of Newfoundlanders on here, so they really like their meat and potatoes and all that kind of stuff. Then we also have, but they also enjoy other stuff. We do a lot of curries and a lot of Thai food and like a lot of international food type thing too.
Right.
So we're trying to get a lot of people to experiment that are just used to the meat and potatoes. They're also trying other foods now too.
Right on.
So they're actually we're trying to diversify their palates.
Their palate.
if you could say.
Yeah, excellent. And in terms of like the amount of food that you carry, obviously you provision up before you head out.
Yep.
And then I guess there is some margin because you just might not know how long you have to be out for.
Well, for our contract for us, we have to have food on board for 30 days.
Okay.
So we're going out now for a 4-month period. So we have enough fruit and vegetables fresh stuff on board for 30 days.
Okay.
Frozen, we have a considerable amount more. We have a sea can reefer that's full right now. Then our fridges and freezers downstairs are full to the brim right now as well.
Wow.
Just because we've learned from our previous sailings going international, we never know what we're going to get in different countries. The food is not Canadian.
Sure.
It's great stuff, but just some stuff that we can get is just like bacon's a hard something, especially you're going into Middle East. It's hard getting pork products and that kind of stuff.
Of course.
So we try to carry as much as we can, so we would never run into that problem anymore.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously food is stored, as you mentioned, in the reefers and in all of their fridges here.
Yep.
Yeah, geez, what?
Yeah, we have 2 big fridges downstairs on 3 decks down as well.
Okay.
That's our primary fridge and freezer.
Okay.
And then we also have a couple of fridges and freezers up here. So this is our dry store. This is one of our dry stores. So this is where all our spices and pastas and sauces are kept.
Right. Fully stocked, and it's deep too. Holy smokes!
Yep.
Wow.
And these are a couple more prep fridges. So the guy, this is their like sandwich and salad fridge, and this is just another prep fridge for the breakfast guys.
Okay.
Then down here is our main walk-in fridge. It's pretty empty right now. It's because everything's been stored down. So this is our main prep fridge. So all the guys will prep all their foods and store them all in here.
Right. Right.
And then, and this is our defrost cabinet. So this thing here, this little beauty here, helps us defrost all our food.
Wow.
So it brings it down at a controlled temperature, or brings it up at a controlled temperature.
Right.
But it's a lot quicker than just leaving it into the fridge or leaving it out in the air, and it's a lot safer.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's clearly what I'm seeing here is that everything is done to food safe.
Oh, we're 100% food safe. Like we have things all over, all our HACCP, all our cooling temperatures. So all the cooks always know what's needs to be done, and everybody's well trained, and we're all educated on all our food quality and safeties.
Yeah, right on, right on. And then as we go through, I guess I'll just, well,
Yeah, this is another freezer.
okay.
So this is our temporary freezer.
All right.
So you can see it's getting full up.
Yeah, nice and cool for sure. And I guess I was just going to ask you because we're kind of at the end of this area.
Yep.
And this is obviously right across from the food deliveries.
Yes, the mess hall.
The mess hall, right.
Yes.
So if you can maybe walk me through there just for a quick second.
Do you want to go back through this way, or do you want to go down the hall? Because how we deliver the food is down through those doors that we just came in.
Let's go that way.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely.
So all the food we prepare here, we usually have it stored in the hot cabinet down there so we're either heating it up, like fish and all that stuff, we heat up to order.
Okay.
So we'll do like 12 portions in a pan, so it's fresh all the time for the people out on board.
Okay.
So going out to our servery, we call it.
All right, so straight shot into
Straight
here.
shot into the server. So this is where we serve all the hot food. That's our salad bar right now.
Right.
Then all the crew on board can just help themselves and serve themselves down the salad line.
So all the hot food is here, and then you have
Yep.
fruits and drinks and.
Drinks and coffee, and so we have a sandwich fridge that's always filled all the time.
Okay.
So if you have a need for a snack or anything during the night or during the day, you can always grab a sandwich. Behind you there's a dessert fridge. So there's always cakes, pies, and everything is, I'd say 95% made all in-house by our bakers.
Wow. Wow. What a wonderful spot. And clearly it's just optimized to serve the crew. And I think, I suspect the dessert is probably one of the highlights.
Yes, it depends on the day. Depends on the crew. Depends what kind of health kick they're on. So towards Christmas time, nobody cares. They just gouge.
Right.
Summer, like springtime, summertime, they usually eat lots desserts because they're trying to get in shape for the summer.
Right. Right.
So,
And is there any restriction on, like, I mean, are there like portions that people are like?
nope, they can help themselves to whatever they want.
Fantastic.
So people are generally very cautious of what they're eating. They don't overfill their plates.
Sure.
We always have a few people that will always overfill, which is normal.
Sure.
So especially if you have like something deep fried on, like fries or something like that, they'll
Yep.
load up because that's what they feel like that day.
Right. Right.
So, but generally everybody's been really, really good that they just serve what they need, and then if they want seconds, we really encourage them. If you do want seconds, get what you want. If you want seconds, you're more than welcome to come back here again.
Nice. Nice. And the one thing that I've seen throughout this whole ship, and I think it's so important to note, is just the sanitary, I guess, how everything is done to high sanitary standards.
Yes. So we have an audit every twice a year from the Canadian government, and I'm pretty sure we have it twice a year through the CAF or the military as well. They do their own sanitary audit as well. Our fridge temperatures are kept daily. Everything that with the HACCP and everything else, we are like top of the line right here.
Yeah, right on. Well, Brad, thank you so much for touring us around the galley
No problem.
and the servery on board the Asterix.
No problem. Glad you enjoyed your visit.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And so, Andrew, now we are going up to, we were currently on zero deck, or whatever they call
we
it.
were on the tween deck.
Tween deck.
And that is -1.
-1.
-1, and we were just on the galley deck is +1. And now
Okay.
we're going to the heli deck and the hangars, which is +2.
+2, gotcha.
So
Wow,
we can
here
go
we
out
are.
here.
And here's what we were talking about before in terms of a massive hangar. Like, you could easily fit a Chinook in here. This is amazing. You could easily fit a Chinook helicopter in here. This thing is massive.
So we've got the same thing. This is the port hangar. We have the starboard hangar, but both are readily accessible from the heli deck.
Right, right. It's a beautiful, beautiful capability. So here we are. So that's one hangar door. And then there's the other one on the other side. So we've basically gone from fore to aft
Yes.
on the ship.
We have.
And now we're gonna, next stop is to go up.
We're going to
upwards.
continue up now. So we left the tween deck and we saw the hospitals, to the galley and the mess room. And now we're here on the heli deck and the hangars, and we'll continue upward and make our way up to the bridge here now.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful. And so this is what you meant by equipment can be brought straight up from the tween deck into the elevators and right into the hangar.
Right into the hangar and out onto the heli deck, where we can put it in a cargo net where it can be hoisted by chopper.
Right, right. Beautiful.
We sometimes get helicopters on board and we'll send out a box of ice cream sandwiches for the guys. And that always makes the crew in the helicopter happy.
Absolutely.
They don't get that on other ships they land
No, right,
on.
right.
So I'm just kind of showing off a bit.
Right, right. Well, you've got the supplies, so.
Yeah.
And really, so that's the interesting thing about a supply ship is without it, a Navy is severely constrained.
They are. It'd be difficult to operate without it, and without having a supply ship in consort when they're on a mission or traveling overseas. And without the Asterix, then they're relying on our foreign navies for support.
Right, right.
So we're going to just take some stairs up here.
Sure.
Okay, now we're on deck 6.
Okay.
And nice area up here, nice view. We'll go aft. You can see the helicopter deck from here.
Right. So that's where we just were, on the helicopter deck. And as I was saying, it's a massive deck.
You know, when you look at some of the naval ships and the size of the heli deck, they must like landing here,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They've got lots of wiggle room.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, what a fantastic capability.
So, you did mention the satellite communications, the
Yes.
one time you were here, and those weren't on board, so you get to see the size of them. They're huge antennas.
Yeah, and that's to keep you connected.
That
both
keeps us connected for all our communications, the ship's Wi-Fi, which is really important for the crew, and creature comforts that they want. When I went to sea, I used to write letters home, and nobody writes a letter anymore, do they?
No,
we're all connected all the time.
Exactly.
So let's go up to the bridge and have a look around, and
Perfect.
we can show you some of the equipment we have here. So here's our bridge where the navigation officer maintains a watch at all times at sea. We have 3 watchkeeping mates on board. We have a third mate and 2 second mates. And they work 4 hours on, 8 hours off at sea. But in their 8 hours off, there's always safety gear to be checking, safety equipment that needs to be inspected. There's safety meetings. There's the second mate is here. He's always working on the passage plan. Going to a foreign port is a lot of work. Doing a passage plan that can be 5,000 and 6,000 miles long takes a lot of work. It's not so easy just drawing a line on a chart.
Right.
He has to consult all the sailing directions to find out where the hazards are, where our reporting areas are. We just can't pull into a foreign port, unannounced. So there are reporting areas, and he has to determine where all those are, and he has to be right. We have to make sure we make those reporting areas, or there's going to be some trouble with foreign ports of authority and coast guards.
Right. And where is your seat here?
Where is my seat? Well, the captain's seat is over here, officially. But I don't mind if anybody sits in it. I really don't.
So this is your seat.
That's my seat, and I sit here a bit, Dan? Not a whole lot. I sometimes sit beside Dan when he's on watch, and I'll just sit in front of the wheel there and have a coffee with him. But I don't sit in this chair all that often.
And the screen next to you, is that just kind of a status screen?
It's a mimic screen that I can get. All the data that you see on all these screens can be observed here as well.
Right on. I'm really impressed and kind of awestruck by this bridge, because it is high tech and it is massive, and it just looks like a wonderful place to work, where you really are you have all the tools available to you to do your job.
You do, and that's one of the things I often tell the guys, everything they need to do their job is up here on the bridge. It's in the manuals, it's in our instructions that we receive on board. All that information is given to us in order for us to do our job.
What's it like to actually sail Asterix? Like, it's a big ship, and so therefore I suspect it does not turn on a dime, but
it's more maneuverable than you think. It's got a big rudder and a big propeller,
right?
So it does have good handling characteristics and ship handling. So we like to maintain a nice, comfortable RPM where fuel consumption is a little more moderate, and we still get 18 and a half knots out of the ship.
Yeah, and that makes total sense, because you don't want to be burning fuel for no reason.
No, that's right. Yeah.
And everything that I've seen about this ship is to be environmentally conscious.
Yes, absolutely. That's always the forefront of our operation.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Andrew, about the width of this bridge. This bridge is massive.
The bridge is a little wider than the deck, if you noticed. Where I said our beam was 25 meters.
Yep.
I think bridge wing to bridge wing is actually 32 meters. So there's a bit of overhang here, which makes it great for docking the vessel and good viewing of the dockside.
Right. So you're actually on the bridge wider than you are actually
Yeah.
at the hull.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's common. You see that in a lot of ships, but
You
it just
do.
helps.
Watch your back there.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
It just helps a lot.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's great. It's very good for the RAS as well, where we're out here like this, and you can see the approaching vessel as it's on standby, and you can watch them approach, come alongside, and we observe, you know, all the RAS operations from here as well.
Right, and so these hoses that we see here,
Yes.
that we saw from downstairs, basically get reeled out to the left and to the right and plug into receiving ships.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's an amazing capability all rolled into one.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a beautiful ship.
You
Beautiful
know,
ship.
as I keep saying, you know, the what we can do with this ship and the way it's been designed and built, you know, it's endless.
It seems like it. See, and it seems like there's a room for growth as well. Like in terms of like whether you want to take on different capabilities or roles, there's you know office spaces and there's meeting areas.
Correct. Yeah.
So you know
Yeah.
you can take on different staff if you need to and
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
No, that's right.
If we could, let's go take a look at an accommodation space.
Yeah,
'Cause
okay.
I think that's important because that really sets this ship apart from a lot of others.
Yeah. Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Captain. Hi there.
Oh,
This is back where we started,
Right.
back at my office again. So we've, you know, gone from the bow down through the tween deck to the accommodation block again, where we've come up through the. We saw the hospital. We've seen the galley and the mess room and the gym, and working our way up. And now we're up on deck 5, where deck 4 and deck 5 are basically a mirror image of each other. Here we go.
okay.
No porthole on this side, but still a good indication of what a cabin looks like.
Right.
So as was mentioned, everybody gets their own cabin. They have their own washroom. Everybody has a TV at the foot of their bed and Wi-Fi.
Right. So, a little workspace, bed, TV and Wi-Fi, cabinet space, and toilet and wash basin and shower. Fantastic. What else could you ask for?
Yeah.
And it's a private space that it's yours, you know.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. And in terms of it being the upkeep of it, I guess, you know, you're always encouraged to be mindful of your space and clean your own spaces, but how is all that carried out on board ship?
So the Navy are responsible for cleaning their own cabins.
Okay.
And once a week they have cabin inspection.
Ah,
So
okay.
the Navy coxswain will, I think maybe with a couple of other personnel, will do a cabin inspection. And when they're called for inspection, you'll find all the Navy are lined up, standing at attention at their cabin doors, and inspection will take place. When it comes to the Federal Fleet Services cabins, we have the Compass group that provides the food. There's stewards that come and clean our cabins, change the linen once a week.
Nice, nice. And we also passed just the officers' wardroom, I think.
We did, so we can go in, take a look here. So this is the officers' wardroom in here. We have a lot of our ship's meetings here. We also have relaxing time. On the nights we watch a lot of movies in here and tend to eat ice cream, and everybody has a suite of some sort.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah,
This is
it's very comfortable. You know, the ship's been laid out. There's a number of TV rooms and wardrooms and lounges that everybody can find a space and sit down and be happy.
Nice, Nice, fantastic. And it's all help yourself kind of.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think, Andrew, if you're okay with it, let's finish off in your office.
Okay.
Because that's where all the admin happens.
Yeah, well, there's,
That's where all the fun happens on the ship, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So here we are. This is my office. This is where I spend most of my day in here.
This is it.
My relief has left me some plants this time that I almost I had them wilting and turning brown within a couple of days. Anyways, some of the crew have said, give me some direction on how to take care of the plants. They're doing a little better now.
Well, that's nice to hear. And so in terms of, so you're fully connected, you work with the Navy on board here, and from this office, you're able to do all the administrative tasks that you need to and delegate authorities as required.
I am, yeah. Every morning, all the ships, well, not all the ship's crew, but it'd be myself, the chief engineer, first engineer, chief mate, the chief steward, and our ETO, which is the electrical technical officer. And the ETO, we have a morning meeting every day at 8 o'clock. We discuss the day's routine, what's going to happen, and then we break up from there, and everybody goes their own way and carries on with the ship's business for the day.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, Andrew Powell, the captain of the Asterix, master, in other words, thank you so much for taking the time to tour us around the ship. It's a beautiful ship, and we're very grateful to you and to Federal Fleet for allowing us the opportunity to visit.
Thank you, Jody. It was nice having you here and to meet you again. And you're welcome back at any time, of course.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, everybody.